Looks like we're good to go. Okay, well, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're South Central Brooklyn United for Progress. We're a community-based group based in South Central Brooklyn. And what we do is we promote a number of uh, ideas for progress that we think are important. We really appreciate you taking your time to talk to us tonight. We did receive your questionnaire. We broadcasted that. We will be putting that on our website as well as this recording. With no further ado, I don't want to hear my voice. I want to hear yours. So please introduce yourself and then we'll take questions.
Hi, my name is Amber Adler. I'm running for City Council in District 48. I, wow, I love this community. I've lived here for over a decade and I'm running for City Council to give back to the community that's given to me. I want to prioritize equitable pandemic recovery. I want to, help establish a more robust childcare and educational system. I want to continue to promote unity, while really providing a higher quality of life all around. I know that for a council member, the number one thing is constituent services. I know how time sensitive the needs of our residents are, and I see it firsthand. When the pandemic began, I I went out into the community. I helped, from very early on. I was actually the first person really to go out, start giving out masks in the area, start helping connect dots to make sure seniors could get groceries. I actually even did a lot of sourcing for masks that I don't talk about so often because it was more about the work, just to get things done. And what I'm bringing, what I'm bringing to this seat is professional experience, life experience, relevant community experience. I'm also the chair of Neighborhood Advisory Board 15. And in this role, I have just experienced the community in a different way than anyone else. I've had to do data collections that are one-on-one. I've talked to easily just in that role thousands of people, in the last couple of years. And that brings a whole nother element into my candidacy. I'd love to open it up for questions because I want to really specifically talk to the things that you want to know, and not just give an overview about me that one can find on, my bio. I want to really, give some feedback.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we already have a question in the chat box. The question is, oh, and if other people want to load up questions now in the chat or stack, I think they call it in some channels, or queue up, please let me know. The first question is, what makes you more qualified than other candidates?
Great question. Thank you so much. There is, there's a lot of ways I could answer that, but I think that the thing that's unique about me is that I have a bevy of experience that comes from all angles. I have relationships in the community. I'm close with all the diverse communities in the community. I have been. I've been working with them for many years now. I've been active in this community for over a decade. I don't know the exact number, but over a decade of years. And I understand the relationships. And apart from that, I also have relationships with elected officials and community leaders from around the entire city, many of which who are supporting my campaign, who later I am excited to announce. But all of that makes me the most, not just qualified, but ready on day one, and someone that can bring people together and do it in this unified, holistic way.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I'm going to just
Oh, I thought
ask.
I saw something pop up at the
Oh,
bottom, but I can't see the full chat box.
okay. Oh, I think you're right. Good call.
I just
Uh,
see little pop-up things at the bottom.
Thank you very much for noticing that. The next question is, being an Orthodox Jew, how do you relate to the LGBT community? Will you denounce the Shomrim for their vicious attack against a gay black man?
Oh wow, that's very it's two parts. Okay. So the LGBTQA community, I you know, I support. I don't have an issue with that. I know maybe some people think automatically I might feel one way or another. I have friends that are members of that community. I have one very long-term friend who is a leader in the trans community, who I just even recently spoke to at great depth, a great length about, a lot of things like that community needs. I think that that's something that's a part of the conversation in this district. The particular thing you mentioned with Shomram, I would have to look up the details a little bit more. I don't want to answer it incorrectly. I obviously do not accept ever or condone anyone attacking a community of people ever. I'm going to just underline that many times over. Whether it be the LGBTQA community, whether it be the Jewish community, the Asian community, I'm there at the forefront to put up that fight because that is not something I tolerate.
Okay, and that question was asked from Joella Brown. And Joella, her contact information is on her questionnaire. So if you'd like to reach out with additional information about that directly to the candidate, I'm sure that's possible as well. If there are no other questions from the group, I do have one. According to the campaign finance summary that I'm looking at right now from your group, it looks like Mr. Saperstein has a significant lead in terms of fundraising over all of the other candidates.
Mhm.
All of the rest are significantly less than that. How are you going to overcome that financial disparity?
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people see the number there, and they're very like, they very much see the big difference there, the big gap. But what the important piece of this puzzle is that that's normal for someone who's ran before. He's ran twice, he's lost twice. He has connections, obviously, in the Republican community that want to support him and see him take over a Democratic seat. And I think at the end of the day, this is the Democratic primary, and there's tons of people ready to jump in and support. I myself, right now, am preparing for a slew of fundraisers that people have come to me and said they want to host. And that's, one piece of the puzzle. But at the end of the day, it's really bringing quality to the table. I was the field director for the current council member and his reelection campaign. I know how that worked already on the ground, and I'm adding to that.
Excellent. I have follow-ups, but instead I'm going to ask the questions in the chat box. The first is from Allison Wallach. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing your family name. How would you ensure equitable distribution of the COVID vaccine in your district?
Oh, I think that's actually a really great question. And one I've been watching very closely because, well, for obvious reasons, but then also because my mother is an RN for over 40 years. And so at home, I grew up with talk about the medical field and how things worked and didn't work. And when I look at how the distribution of the vaccine is going, not happy. But I do believe that we really need to focus in on disseminating information about the vaccine, how it's available, when it's available to communities that don't have English as their first language to make sure they have the correct information, number one. That's vital. Number two, we should be going into already existing organizations that deal with seniors, that deal with the most vulnerable members of the community, and making sure that their outreach is working. And if it's not, we need to assist and make sure that's working. There are also only so many people in the existing organizations that can disseminate this information. In general, you actually probably would see on my questionnaire, I believe also in building up organizations that are already existing to expand an additional sector to reach out to more communities that don't have English as their first language. There are many communities like this that are just really, their needs are falling between the cracks. And when it comes to vaccines, this is obviously vital because we need to get through this, and there's no chance to make a mistake, which we've already been making mistakes, but there's really, we got to do it right the first time.
Thank you so much for that answer. The next question comes from Andrea Karshan. She has two questions. The second one is in a direct message to me, but I believe she intended it for you, so I'm going to ask
Okay.
both of them. The first is, do you have any endorsements from politicians? And the second is the current council member supporting you?
Oh, that's a very nice question. I do have politicians who are supporting me right now. We haven't officially rolled those out. I think some people sort of got a hint of these things on my filing. I got a lot of questions about that. But as of now, I have not officially announced any political endorsements. I have announced, I actually was the first to announce any endorsement with 21 and 21. I received that endorsement, and also run for something, I received that endorsement. And then what was the second part again? I'm sorry.
Is the current council member supporting you? I believe they're talking about Mr. Deutsch.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that I can announce at the moment.
Okay. My next question comes from Ellen. Do you support the New York Health Act?
I do support the New York Health Act.
Excellent. Um, it says Nora's got to go. Thank you for joining us. I
Oh,
don't think that's a question.
hi, Nora.
My next question, though, is regarding. I know you recently had some comments in the Community Board 13, and you had answered our questionnaire regarding the homeless shelter that's going up. Um, I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that. Do you support it or oppose it? It seemed like you were bringing up some problems, but I couldn't understand if the problems were such that you could
Oh,
not support it as it was now, or if
oh,
you.
sorry.
No
Yeah,
worries.
completely. That homeless shelter, well, that proposal for a homeless shelter at that location, I do not support. There are there are a lot of reasons. I mean, there's some environmental factors that people have brought up, which are, obviously important. We need to really look into. But generally speaking, in terms of the homeless population, I believe in methods that move into permanent housing effectively and in a time sensitive manner. I actually think I can say this. I have someone I know very well who is a homeless man. I met him in the area, and he has been in the system for a while and shuffled around. I speak with him often. I probably buy him a coffee every other day of my life, and I've been trying to connect him with different options when he started telling me more about his situation. But when I speak with him and when I hear the things that the representatives were saying on that meeting, like, it just highlights and underlines that that's not something that's going to help people in a way that we should be investing in. Like, I look at how much money we're spending and what we're getting. I want a good return on investment that makes sense monetarily and also morally, and also like on a mental health. What are we getting? Like, what's the product at the end of the day? All of that stuff, like, that's what makes a good proposal. That's what makes a good deal. That's how I weigh things. And when I look at that proposal, and when I hear the feedback and sort of the dismissive comments about things, it's just not a good deal.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have two more comments. One is, three more now. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
One is from Ellen. She asks that since you support the New York Health Act, she was wondering if you would sign the candidate's pledge to support the New York Health Act.
No, I haven't actually received that pledge, but I'd love to see
Okay.
it if she wants to send it to
I
me.
think I'm sure Ellen will send that to you post
Okay.
haste. That seems like something Ellen would do.
Go for it. Yeah.
The next question is from Andrea again. It is, do you support defund the police?
Oh, that's a great question. So that put it this way, that slogan is not a slogan that I will ever be getting behind. I believe in public safety, and I believe in allocating money in a way that's responsible and really community involved. So when someone says, like, do I support defund the police, I'm like, no, that's not like, it's just not a slogan that I get behind. What I do get behind, and is very relevant here, public safety. I get behind providing resources. I believe that it's better to work on prevention and building foundations than treating the after effects of things not being set up right from a young age. That's why I support educational equity. That's why I support community centers. That's why I support um, all kinds of unity projects that get people involved and feeling good about themselves and other people around them. Because build when you build a person from the beginning and you invest in these kinds of resources, they they don't go down that path. And also, I'm going to just note, not everyone that um, that is arrested has gone down a path. Sometimes it's just the wrong the wrong timing and different situations.
Okay. And
Yeah, I don't know the right word there, but yeah.
I am going to be cognizant of time. We do have one more question, so I will ask it, but this will have to be the last one. This appears to be a follow up to the earlier question from Joella Brown. It is uh, direct, but I'm just going to read it off as she wrote it.
That's fine.
So, what do you expect homeless people to do? Just sleep on the streets until you see a proposal that is a quote unquote better
No,
deal.
yeah. No, no, never. I don't want to be misunderstood there. So let me clarify this very much. I believe that there should be homeless shelters, generally speaking. I don't think they should be 150 to 174 people um, uh, in a location that's possibly environmentally unsafe, number one. Um, but I do believe in a homeless shelter in general. I think that there are emergency situations where people need to go to the shelter. I just believe in safe shelters. I believe in clean shelters. I believe in giving a product that's not just keeping you covered from the rain. I believe we should do more than just shelter in a homeless shelter. I think we should be getting people to the next step. We shouldn't be shuffling them around, leaving them in a shelter system for a year and then putting them in another homeless shelter somewhere else. Like, I don't believe in that. That's wrong. I find it morally wrong. I find it financially stupid for our city.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today, ma'am. I'll give you another minute or two if you'd like just to have a kind of a closing statement. There is another question, but I'm going to let Andrea send that to you directly, or we can ask
Okay.
it afterwards to make sure
Fine.
we give all the candidates about the same amount of time. And
But,
with no further ado, please.
oh, I think I see something else popping up at the bottom now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, as as I was saying, I'm trying to really answer all your questions. If there's anything else that you would like to follow up with me on, please feel free to reach out to me. I respond on social media. I respond to the email inquiries. I have information. It's info@amberadler.com. Reach out completely. I love to hear opinions. I love to get feedback from you. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here to work for you. So that's what I really want to underline here, I guess, in my closing. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I just want to let you and everyone else know that we are considering endorsement in this race and a number of other city council races. We're only doing city council races because of the size of our group and where we are in terms of capacity right now. We have a pretty high threshold, 66%. So we don't expect to endorse in too many races, but I think this is one where there's been a lot of interest. You can see there's a lot of people in the that came today to listen to this.
Mhm.
So
I
hopefully we'll be
appreciate it.
talking. Hopefully we'll be talking again. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Have a
Have a
great
good
night.
night.
Bye now.